Welcome everyone to the Feeling Good Therapist, where we learn skills and tools to help you in your own practice or in your own personal lives. And my name is Richard Lamb. Today we have Kevin Cornelius, who will be helping us learn a really awesome technique called the Interpersonal Downward Arrow, a technique created by Dr. David Burns. Welcome, Kevin.
Well, thank you, Richard. It's great to be here. Yeah, I'm really excited to demonstrate this method. Really great when we're using the interpersonal model. It's a good tool for helping a patient really understand their role in the problems that they're coming to therapy for. So I'm excited to do this with you.
Wonderful. Same here. Tell me a little more about the potential patient I'd be playing today.
Yeah, I think we're going to be working. You'll play the role of a man who's married to a woman, and his wife has been he's unhappy because she complains a lot to him, and then he jumps in and kind of tries to help her with her complaints, and then she gets upset with him because he doesn't listen to her well. So he kind of feels like I can't do anything right. Is that okay for you to play that role
Sounds
today?
like a really great example. Let's do it.
Okay, good. Should we make up a different name for you when you're playing a role so it's clear that you're not
Sure.
Richard? Yeah,
Let's do Javier.
great. Okay, Javier. Um, so Javier, first of all, I'm really happy to be working with you today, and I'm really impressed by the way that you've been willing to take full responsibility for doing all the changing in this relationship. And of course, we've talked a lot about what this has been like for you. And I'm happy to hear that I'm understanding you well, and that this would be a good time for us to actually use a method to help you with making changes. Am I getting all that right?
Yeah, I'm just ready to really improve this relationship already.
Okay, great. Well, a logical next step for us would be to use a wonderful method called the interpersonal downward arrow. And this is an uncovering technique. And what we're going to be uncovering is the roles and the rules that you've been playing and following, probably unconsciously in your marriage. We're going to bring them to conscious awareness, and then you're going to have some choices about whether you'd like to still continue playing those roles and following those rules, or if there's some changes that maybe you would like to make. Is it okay if we give it a try?
Yeah, sounds interesting.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share my screen with you, Javier, and we're going to look at a special form that we use for doing this. And I sent you a copy of this so that you can use it on your computer and fill this out too. And you'll see that there's four quadrants here on this page, and we're going to start up here in this upper right-hand quadrant. And we're going to take a look at the role that your wife plays
Hmm.
in the problem that you were describing to me in your relationship. And I'm going to ask you to list some adjectives that describe her role. Like, what kind of person is she? So you were saying that she does a lot of complaining. And
Hmm.
then when you try to help her with her complaints, she then gets upset and angry because you're not listening to her.
Yeah.
So what's a word that would describe her in this situation?
I'm not sure if this is considered an adjective, but maybe like a complainer.
Sure, let's put that down. Complainer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anything else that jumps to mind?
Well, if she's always complaining, that means she's always running into problems. So maybe like troublemaker.
Okay, troublemaker. Yeah, very good. What else comes to mind?
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, one thing that stood out to me is that it really bothered you that she comes to you with a problem, and then all you're doing is just trying to help her, and then she gets mad at you. That sounds kind of unreasonable or unfair. Would one of those
Yeah,
words
she's
be a
like
way to
the
describe her?
unreasonable one. Hmm.
Sure, unreasonable. Okay. or maybe even another word that jumped into my mind is maybe a little demanding
Oh
of
yeah, for
you.
sure.
Is that
Very
right? Okay.
demanding.
Okay. Um, and I've got a couple of other ideas, but I'm wondering if any others are jumping into your mind because it's important
Um,
what you think about this.
I think she's kind of unempathetic because I'm trying to put effort into it and she doesn't understand like all the hard work I'm putting in.
I think that's true. Yeah, let's put that unempathetic. So she doesn't really notice what this has been like for you and the work that you've been putting in. Is that right?
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
um, I'm also unappreciative.
sure. Let's put that down too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, make sure you're writing these down on
Mm,
yours also, because you're going to want to hold on to this form when we're done with this.
absolutely.
And, you know, one thing that jumped into my mind that I'd check with you on is, do you think that maybe her role is to be critical?
Yeah, she's definitely the critical one.
Okay. So let's put that in there too. Okay. Now, we have a pretty good list going here. This seems like something we could probably work with. Do you think we've captured things well, or should we put down another couple of adjectives?
No, this sounds perfect. This looks like
Okay.
exactly her role.
Okay. So far we're saying her role, and let's just think if her role is to complain, be a troublemaker, unreasonable, demanding, unempathetic, unappreciative, and critical. What describes your role? What are some
Well, I'm
words that
more of kind of like
Mhm.
the problem solver and
Mhm.
maybe the more level-headed one.
Okay, sure.
And if she's
Okay,
unreasonable, I guess that makes me reasonable.
sure. Okay.
And what's the opposite of demanding here? Because I'm definitely one that
Hmm.
complies to her
Yeah.
demands.
Yeah, compliant.
Yeah, compliant.
Does that sound right? Yeah. Okay.
And I think I'm
Um,
very empathetic since I'm always trying to help her.
sure. Yeah, maybe yeah, helper would describe
Yeah,
your role
helper is a
too,
good one.
right?
Mhm.
Helper. Okay. Um, yeah, something that kind of jumped to my mind when I'm looking at demanding, it kind of sounds like you're sometimes pretty acquiescent, right? Like you kind of give in to the demands and try to help. Is
Yeah,
that what
absolutely. That
does
fits me
that
perfectly.
hopefully I'm spelling it right. Well, that's kind of a $5 word there, but okay. Uh well, that's a pretty good list too. Do
Mhm.
you think we're capturing your role well here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So now what we want to look at is what this feels like, right? Like what kind of feelings come up for you, like for when you're being a problem solver, level-headed, reasonable, compliant, empathetic, a helper who's acquiescent, interacting with your wife who's a complainer, troublemaker, etc. What are the kinds of emotions that you feel?
Oh gosh, for sure I feel very frustrated and
Hmm.
also annoyed.
Hmm.
And at the same time, I feel a little bit self-conscious because I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. She's always telling me I'm not doing the right things
Hmm.
and really angry, actually. Like, afterwards, I just don't
Okay.
understand. I'm trying to help her, and she's telling me that I'm not helping. So it really makes
Yeah.
me angry. And,
Yeah, do you feel at all defensive when you're being criticized and
oh
kind of
yeah, for
demanded?
sure.
Yeah.
I'm always telling
Okay.
her I'm trying to help. I don't understand.
Yeah. Maybe confused.
Yeah, very confused. I don't
That
really get it.
okay. Yeah. Um, I also wonder if you feel hurt when you're stepping in and trying to help, when you're hearing complaints, and then you kind of get sort of an angry response.
Yeah, I do feel
The
hurt, and
okay.
at the same time, I also feel a little anxious, like I had to walk on eggshells. I don't really know, like, if I'm going to
Sure.
upset her even more or not, so I don't really know what to say.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess the last question I have is, does this feel lonely
Oh
to be
gosh,
to be in
yeah, it
these
does feel
roles?
really
Okay.
lonely. I feel a bit disconnected of her, kind of on my own. Like
Hmm.
we're supposed to be a team here, but we keep butting
Hmm.
heads.
Okay. Yeah. So I jotted down the feelings as you were listing them for me here. So when you're in these roles, with your wife, you're feeling frustrated, annoyed, self-conscious, angry, defensive, confused, hurt, anxious, lonely, and disconnected. And there's a final piece here that we'd like to take a look at here is, what do you think are the rules? And these are, I would describe these as unconscious rules. It's not like you're sitting down and choosing to follow a particular rule, but in order to maintain these roles and the way that it feels, what are the rules that you're following, do you think?
Well, I think one rule is when she complains, I have to come up with a solution.
Sure. Yeah. Um, when she complains, I have to come up with a solution. Sure. Um,
I guess
anything else? Yeah.
yeah, I think another one is when I come up with a solution, she gets upset with me, and her role is to, I guess, tell me that it's a bad solution.
Hmm. Yeah. So what's the rule that's being followed there then when that happens?
She has to disapprove of any solutions I come up with.
She has to disapprove of any solutions. Yeah. And when she is disapproving of these solutions, what's the rule that you then are must follow to maintain this status quo right now?
I guess I kind of defend myself, kind of explain
Hmm.
myself, defend and explain myself.
Okay. Um, and there's something that just jumped into my mind as I was considering these roles and the feelings that come up for you. It looks like there's not really a chance for you to talk about what this feels like for you.
Hmm.
Is that right? Like maybe a rule that's being followed is, you know, I must not talk about my feelings because it's sort of the way that maintains these roles is that she can express her, hurt and anger and frustration towards you, but that you kind of don't have permission to do that or something. Am
You
I
know what?
reading too much into it or
That sounds very true. Yeah, I don't
okay.
really express my emotions. I'm just supposed to listen to
Yeah.
hers.
Yeah. So I must not express my emotions, but I must listen to hers. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Now, there's a lot that we're uncovering here right now, Javier, right? Like you've really jumped in and taken a look at these these roles and rules and feelings. And I'm just kind of wondering, what's this like for you right now? Like what do you notice about yourself as you're considering all of this?
Well, I just know I don't like it. I mean, just look at this.
Okay.
It's like this pattern that doesn't really work out so well. And we
Hmm.
always argue, and at the end of the day, no one's happy. And as you can see, I have a
Yeah.
lot of emotions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm uh, just want to say that I really like that you're willing to look at it in this way because it's hard, right? And of course, there's lots of positive things that are true about your marriage too, and we're just looking at the negative things, right? That kind of maintain the problems here. And I think that it's helpful that you're willing to look at it this way and look at the way that this feels, and there's kind of a logical next step here that I'd like to explore with you.
Thank you everyone for watching part one of this video with Kevin Cornelius of the Interpersonal Downward Arrow. Part two will be linked below once it's released, and please check out that video. If you want to learn more about Kevin, also please look below. And lastly, please also consider subscribing to learn more about therapy tools content.